Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dimes Unlimited Podcast. I'm Chase.
And I'm Gabe.
And we're going to get right into it today. Today, we're going to go over Kevin Porter Jr.'s emergence. We're going to talk about the referees and the missed calls. And we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame finalists, a surprise segment.
What? A surprise?
Surprise segment.
Whoa.
And
all right,
Gabe's Fantasy Corner to finish it off.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get straight into it. Kevin Porter Jr. 2 games ago was called up from the G League. And since has gone off. Last night, 1 3-pointer, 27 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Game before, 1 3-pointer, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. Gabe, you watched the game, right? How do you feel about it? How do you look?
Well, I think he looked pretty amazing. He looked really good. He looked fluid out there. Didn't look like he had the same type of game as James Harden, but he reminds me of like a mix between maybe De'Aaron Fox and like a discount Kyrie. Like just the way he moves around, the way he finishes. I like the way he plays. And he's good at defense.
I see that. A lot of people are making comparisons to Harden. Obviously, I think it's just another
I don't think it's a Harden thing at all.
Houston guy that can handle the ball. I saw a lot of mid-range game that I liked, which you don't see from Harden. A lot of good mid-range, and found the right guy most of the time. Finding guys that you didn't think he could. He's a great passer, really up in Justin Patton's value, too. Justin Patton's been doing well.
Yeah, but he probably won't be by Tuesday.
Yeah. All right. So, we're going to go over his G League stats, show you guys what he was doing. In G League, he was the standout player. Mm-hmm. He was averaging 24 points, 6.5 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 1.5 steals with 2.6 threes. Mm-hmm. Shooting around 46%. Only downside of this is he gets 4.7 turnovers a game. That's in the G League.
Yeah. But he was the only guy handling the rock.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is now, too. He has 3 turnovers and 4 turnovers in the past 2 games. But he looked comfortable. And I think what the difference is with this G League bubble is this giving people confidence. Mm-hmm. You see guys like him, Moses Brown, who are coming to the NBA now. And they're really showing off that they can be NBA talent, which we hadn't seen before. This G League bubble turned out to be really, really good. Anything else you got to add on Kevin Porter?
With Kevin Porter Jr., I know a lot of people are expecting him to be like a 20-point-per-game guy this year and like with like 6 assists this year. I just want to tell people, yeah, he's going to be really good. He is. But I think it's going to be somewhere more around maybe 16, 2 and 5 or something like that. That sounds like a stat line that he's going to be averaging if everything goes well.
And I mean, for the Rockets, they got him for a conditional second.
Oh, yeah. No,
so,
he's one of their strongest pieces right now.
Yeah. For a conditional second, which probably won't even transfer to him, right? Mm-hmm. So they got him from the Cavs for free, all because the Cavs gave Taurean Prince his locker, which I still don't understand.
Yeah, he did throw some soup.
He did throw some stuff afterward. But just don't give up his locker. All right, on to the next segment, which I really wanted to talk about, was the referees. So everyone on Twitter and social media last night was going crazy about Ja Morant's bucket, or lack of a call on the last shot. So Ja Morant went up, drove in the lane. Jokic went almost vertical, but there was no call. The issue with it is the ref looked like he was calling it by raising his hand. Everyone got upset about it. They said it should have been a call. Honestly, I don't think that was that big of a deal, but I want to go over some of the other calls that have been missed. I was watching the Thunder-Knicks game today. Mm-hmm. Thunder challenged a blocking call. It was Julius Randle running into Isaiah Roby. They went and they challenged the call and still got the call wrong. Julius Randle just pounded through Roby, who had great position.
Hey, man.
And they still called the foul on Isaiah Roby. I don't understand. This is what bothers me. So we're watching games a lot, right? These games go on for 3 hours. Why are we spending time reviewing them if we're not getting calls right?
Yeah.
Either the refs need to be held accountable, and it's not just one ref. Because when they go to review it, there's all the refs together, plus they've got the refs from Secaucus looking at it too.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I don't understand why we're missing so many calls. And then we review so much and stop the flow of the game. There's no momentum anymore at the end of games. But they could review stupid stuff like who it goes out off of. it'll be usually a fingertip, right? But they can't overturn a goaltend. That's obvious.
Yeah.
I think last week, someone goaltended obviously at the end of a game. It was Dame. Dame got goaltended at the end of the game. Would have tied the game up, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't call it, couldn't review it, because there was no call. So if we're not getting all these calls right, what is the point of the review? All it's doing is slowing down the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I think about it. Do you have any thoughts about it?
I just can't help but notice how many parallels it draws to the NFL earlier this decade or the previous decade with all those missed calls that were happening with the replacement refs. That's what it reminds me of. But I'm not sure. I didn't really watch many of the games this week, so.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot, right? And it doesn't bother me if you're going to review to make the right call.
Mm-hmm.
If you're making the right call, it's cool. We're getting a more accurate game.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is we have 3 refs on the floor and multiple refs out in Secaucus that still aren't calling the game right. And either the league needs to hold someone accountable or they just need to get rid of reviews in total.
That's not going to happen.
But I don't see the point of us with 2 minutes left having to stop for 5-minute periods to review who the ball went out off of.
It's a momentum killer.
You're building all this tension at the end of the game. It's a close game. And then we're going to review it for 5 minutes. Which equates another timeout, which we tried to get rid of by reducing it to 2 in the final 3 minutes. So the reviews have been bugging me lately. I went on my little rant. That's about it. But we can move on to the next segment.
All right.
The next segment is the Hall of Fame finalists.
All right, this sounds a little fun.
This is more fun than the other 2 segments. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. is fun.
He's fun, but I'm
Today, we're just going to go over the NBA guys because that's what we know best, right? There's a couple. There's a women's player in there. There's also a women's coach. Both, I think, are locks to make the Hall of Fame. But we're going to go over the NBA guys. So first on the list, first time on the ballot, Paul Pierce.
I like Paul Pierce. I don't like post-retirement Paul Pierce all that much, but I do like Paul Pierce the player.
I don't think anyone likes post-retirement Paul Pierce. Like, he's just
It's a different
kind of there saying random stuff.
Yeah.
Paul Pierce's number on his career. You ready? 19.7 points, 4.8 rebounds, 5.6 assists, 1.3 steals, shooting 44.5%. So not bad. 20 points per game, leading a team, right? Not too bad in an era where 20 points was a lot. Played 19 seasons, long time. 10-time All-Star. 4-time All-NBA. 2008 champ and Finals MVP. In the Finals, averaged 21.8, 4.5, and 6.3. Solid numbers. Really carried the Celtics to that win. And then I'm going to give you his total points, which I thought was crazy. 26,397 points.
Yeah, I think he's
which
a Hall of Fame
puts him 16th all-time. And I think with those numbers, you're an automatic first ballot.
No, that's first ballot Hall of Fame numbers. I don't think he's got anything to worry
That's
about.
a unanimous Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
right?
There's no controversy there.
All right. So next guy, this is his second time on the ballot. He was on the ballot last year. I think they didn't let him in because they wanted to keep it Kobe, KG, and Tim Duncan. This is Chris Bosh. Now, off the top of your head, who do you think made more All-Star teams, Chris Bosh or Paul Pierce?
I'm going to guess Chris Bosh since you asked that question.
Chris Bosh has 11 All-Star appearances.
Yeah, dude.
In 13 seasons. Crazy.
He also had an abrupt stop to his...
stop. I think he could have played a lot longer.
Yeah.
He was still putting up All-Star numbers when he went out. It was sad. But 19.2 points on his career. 8.5 rebounds. 2 assists. 0.8 steals, 1 block. Solid numbers. 13 season. 11-time All-Star. 2-time champ. Not to mention how many big moments he had in the finals. Eastern Conference Finals, when he hit that 3 against the Celtics to push him again. I think it was in Game 4.
Is that 19?
Pushed him ahead at the end?
14.
Yeah, 19.
All right.
He did a lot of stuff. It was a really, really, really good player. Next person we have up, Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper averaged 8.9 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 1.2 steals. Now, these numbers don't jump off the page.
But the rest.
Here's what gives him a Hall of Fame status. or at least a finalist, right? He's a 5-time champ with those Lakers. I don't think they win as many championships if they don't have him. Really locked down a lot of players. 8-time all-defense. Great player. A lot of people are kind of relating him to Dennis Johnson, who made the Hall of Fame. He was really the defensive stopper for those Celtics teams. I think the difference with Dennis Johnson and Michael Cooper is Dennis Johnson is a Finals MVP in '79 for the Sonics. Mm-hmm. I think that puts him up a notch. I think if you win Finals MVP, that's a big deal.
Andre Iguodala.
Yeah. Michael Cooper also won Defense Player of the Year. All right, Ben Wallace, kind of similar to Michael Cooper's case. 5.7 points, 9.6 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1.3 steals, and 2 blocks.
Yeah, that puts him above that.
2 rebounds. 2 rebound champs, so he led the league in rebounding 2 seasons. He was a block champ 1 season. 5-time All-NBA, 4-time All-Star, 6-time All-Defense, and 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. Now, again, those stats don't jump off the page, but you're looking at guys like Dennis Rodman, who put up similar numbers. I know Dennis Rodman averaged more rebounds.
Yeah, but this guy over a 5-year span, dude, averaged like 13 rebounds with like 3.5 blocks and like 2 steals for a little bit.
Crazy numbers. And I think a good thing to mention about him is he's the only guy we've seen stop Shaq in the finals.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, other than Game 4 in 2004 where Shaq went off, the rest of them, he did a pretty good job on Shaq. Next one we have is Bill Russell. I know what you're thinking. Bill Russell's already a Hall of Famer. This is Bill Russell as a coach inducted into the Hall of Fame. The interesting thing about this is he won 2 championships as a coach, but he was also playing. So the last 2 championships he won on the Celtics, he was a coach also, which makes little to no sense. I believe their assistant coach was John Havlicek, who was also playing. Really weird. But he coached them for a couple years, retired after. Then went on to coach the Supersonics, where on a career he had a 54% win percentage, which is solid, but 2-time champ as a player coach.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can bring the playing into that, into his coaching nomination, but I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Chris Webber is the other one. Chris Webber on his career, 20.7 points, 9.8 rebounds, 4.2 assists. He was a 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, 1-time rebound champ, and Rookie of the Year.
Really? Rebound champ?
Yeah. And you're talking, this guy was a top 5 forward in the league throughout most of his prime. I think what hurts him is, 1, he was injured a lot, right? 2, he doesn't have as many All-Star and All-NBA appearances because he was stuck behind a lot of guys in the Western Conference. You're talking Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki. Like, all these guys were crazy good during his time. It's hard to get a lot of All-Star berths and All-NBA berths when those guys are ruling the league.
Yeah.
Then another point is you got to bring in his college, right? This is the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not NBA Hall of Fame, which I would love to see, but this is Basketball Hall of Fame, right? And how influential those Fab 5 teams were is on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Those Fab 5 teams were super influential. Everyone was dressing like them. Everyone wanted to be Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Juwan Howard. These guys were a big deal. Now, some of the other things that go against his record, it's a story of what could have been. He had so much potential but never really showed out. Had lots of arguments with coaches and teammates during his time. He had that scandal at Michigan, which made them remove their banners. Also, he called the timeout in the championship game, which ended up costing them the game because they had no timeouts left. Turned into free throws. Duke wins.
Yeah.
So those are some things to go over.
I wouldn't say he never showed out, though, dude. He had his age 28 season in 2001. He averaged the season before that, he averaged 27 points with 11 boards and how many assists? Like 5 assists or something?
Yeah. Great passing big man. Some people say he passed too much, right?
Very good prime.
He had a great prime. I think he could have sustained it longer.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
A great player. But here's my question with these Hall of Famers. We don't know how many of these will make the Hall of Fame. But let's put a hypothetical out there that only 3 of these players can make the Hall of Fame. Which 3 are you picking?
That's tough because my last two picks, I'm stuck between Chris Webber and Ben Wallace. But my first two are Paul Pierce and Chris Bosh. Both are two parts of the two most influential teams in NBA history, the Big Three Celtics and the Big Three Heat. And then Ben Wallace, I just love Ben Wallace. He's one of the best defensive players of all time. 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. That's kind of tough to beat for Chris Webber. Even though Chris has a great resume, great prime, he went from 20 points his 2005 season to 11 points and out of the league in his next year, which is crazy. So I think I'd probably rather have Ben Wallace. So my three is going to be Paul Pierce, Chris Bosh, and Ben Wallace.
Yeah, I think that's a really good choice. Mm-hmm. For me, I was listening to a lot of people about this. Bill Simmons and the guys at No Ducks kind of went over it. Mm-hmm. And it's really what your definition of a Hall of Famer is, right? Because there's guys that have made it that we don't think should have made it. Mm-hmm. There's guys that aren't in that should be in. The way they described it, which I really loved, is imagine Bill Simmons' case. He said, imagine you're walking through the Hall of Fame. Can you explain the game of basketball without this player? I think that's a really good point. And I think with Paul Pierce and Chris Bosh for sure, you can't explain the game without him. Mm-mm. And I'm sorry, if you're 16th all-time in scoring, you're making the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Paul Pierce. 10-time All-Star, 11-time All-Star. Not many players have more than that. I believe they're like top 10 in All-Star appearances. Mm-hmm. They're Hall of Fame locks. Mm-hmm. Now, for me, like you said, I'm not giving it to Bill Russell just because I think those championships were more as a player. Mm-hmm. Because he's not doing a great job coaching everyone. He has the best player on the team in himself.
Good weapon.
You know? Like, he could just run everything how he wanted to. And we're looking at between... Michael Cooper is great. Great player. I don't think the Lakers win as many championships without him. Mm-hmm. But it's hard for me to make a case for him. Mm-hmm. He's a one-time Defensive Player of the Year, but is 8-time All-Defense.
And you also already got your 2-time block champ, 2-time rebound champ, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year there too.
Yeah.
On the defensive side. So if you really think about it, I love Michael Cooper, but he's not even the best defensive player on this list.
On this list, no. And Michael Cooper never made an All-Star team, which I think if he played on a different team, he could have. But he was the fourth man on the Lakers, sometimes 4th to 5th, depending on if Jamal Wilkes was there at the time. It's a solid player. But for me, it's in between, like you said, Chris Webber and Ben Wallace. And what it comes down to is Ben Wallace is a champion.
Yeah.
And 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. And Chris Webber has really good numbers. But again, all those things that go against his record, which I don't think should be as big of a deal, but should be factored in.
I still think he'll eventually be in the Hall of Fame.
I think he'll eventually be in there. But for right now,
I'd rather have Ben.
I'm going to give it to Ben Wallace. Mm-hmm. I think all these guys are deserving. I think all these guys should make the Hall of Fame at some point.
Yeah.
This isn't a Mitch Richmond who made the Hall of Fame. We're talking, these guys are great, great players. One thing I wanted to mention on this Hall of Fame is, as we were talking about Chris Webber, 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. There's a couple guys that just retired a couple years ago. Or one is still playing. One retired a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. That have kind of similar numbers / All-Star appearances. Played the same position, kind of similar. Blake Griffin and Amari Stoudemire.
I hate Blake Griffin.
I know you don't like Blake Griffin. But I think for a bit he was the top 5 player in the league.
I'm sure he was.
He was crazy good. But if we're not letting Chris Webber in, does that mean those guys eventually will take a while to get in? It's just food for thought.
I could see Blake taking a while, but Amari's part of that 7-second offense that was so influential. You can't really tell the history of the league without him.
Yeah, and if that's how we're going on it, I think that's a big portion. But a lot of people also talk about Shawn Kemp. Mm-hmm. Shawn Kemp, I think, was only a 3-time All-Star. He had a short prime, but that prime was good. Mm-hmm. A lot of those guys are kind of similar in that area.
Yeah.
So if we're leaving Chris Webber out right now, I think it might take some of those guys a little while to get in.
Fun fact about Blake Griffin. Did you know his rookie year was his second highest scoring average on the Clippers?
That's crazy.
That's pretty funny. Just a random thought.
He came out as a rookie and killed it.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the best players in the league for a good span of time. Like those 6 years he made the All-Star team.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best players in the league. Easy. Changed Lob City and then adjusted his game well.
Mm-hmm.
You see him just dunking everything in his rookie season.
Yeah,
Somehow developed handles.
Yeah.
A 3-point shot. Could create space.
Both Blake and Amar are pretty valuable, influential players in the league for recent history.
And I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
All right, Gabe, you ready for the surprise segment?
I am. I'm kind of excited, kind of nervous. Don't know what I'm expecting here, but I'm trusting you.
Are you ready for the Basketball Reference Nickname Challenge?
Yeah, all right.
All right. So I went over
laptop?
a bunch of... Yes, you should close your laptop.
All right.
I went over a bunch of Basketball Reference pages.
All right.
And I tried to find a lot of these nicknames make no sense whatsoever.
All right, guys, don't judge me off of this. I know where this is going.
I don't think you can judge anyone off of these.
All right.
But I found 10 of the funniest nicknames. 8 of the guys in the league. 2 were in the league last year, aren't in the league this year.
All right.
I just wanted to throw them out there. See what you thought. I figured this would be a little fun game.
Let's make a little multiple choice one, too. I want to try that guess.
Well, multiple choice is going to be hard.
Yeah, I know, but it'll be funny.
We're going to try this one out before with no multiple choice.
All right.
This player goes by... I'm going to leave the nicknames with their name in it till last. So this guy has a lot of initial nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that, I'll leave towards the end. But first on the Basketball Reference nicknames. The Hobbit. Now, you can guess every time I say a nickname.
Is that Muggsy Bogues?
It is not Muggsy Bogues. These are all current players that I'm naming first.
The Hobbit.
So you could get another guess. Every time I say a nickname, you get a guess.
Let me think. Oh, The Hobbit. Who would do that? I'm just gonna say. Carson Edwards.
It is not Carson Edwards. All right. Now we got to start getting into some initial ones.
All right.
This guy, one of his nicknames is 3G.
3G. Oh, I feel like I should know this. 3G. I have no idea.
All right. I'm going to give you another.
All right.
You get a guess here if you want to use it.
Okay.
You get a guess for every nickname I get.
Yeah.
So you want to guess a name right now?
Let me think. 3G.
3G.
I'm gonna say I'm not gonna guess because I don't know.
All right. Next nickname, E-Money.
E-Money. Ooh. E-Money.
E-Money.
Let me see. E-Money. These names are difficult.
They are. I'm gonna start.
Hobbit, Harrison Barnes.
It is not Harrison Barnes. I know you saw me prepping for this. He is one of these. All right. So, some other nicknames. EG, EJ, and then I'm going to give you the last 2. This is going to be big hints. Splash Gordon and Eric Gordon. Who?
Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon is correct.
All right. Look at me, man.
That was a good first round. So you understand how the game works now.
Yes, I do.
So these are absurd names which make 0 sense. Next up, we have Blue Arrow.
That's Jamal Murray.
That is Jamal Murray.
Yeah, the Blue Arrow, bro.
Did not think you'd get that one.
Yeah.
You want to hear his other name?
Sure.
Glitch.
He looks kind of like a Hobbit. A little bit.
Yeah. You think they should switch names?
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. We have this one you might get, might not get. Big Penguin. He's a one nickname guy.
I don't know that.
This is Big Penguin.
Big Penguin. Is it Marcus Smart? Because
It's not Marcus Smart. I'll give you an additional guess.
Big Penguin. I would have said Chris Kaman, but he's not playing.
He's not.
Let me think. Big Penguin. That's a ridiculous name. I'm I'm gonna say it's gotta be someone large. I'm gonna say that's one of Jokic's nicknames.
It is not.
Dang.
This is Andre Drummond,
Oh, I should have known
a.k.a.
that.
Big Penguin.
I feel like I could have guessed that.
All right, on to the next one. It's a fun game, right?
Yeah, it's painful as well.
We have Optimus Dime. Not Optimus Prime. Optimus Dime. Shout out to Dimes Unlimited.
That's terrible. Well, let me think. All right. I'm guessing he's a point guard.
Yeah, he's a point guard. I'll give you that hint.
Okay. Optimus Dime. I'm going to say, is it one of Rajon Rondo's nicknames?
It is not.
Dang.
I will give you the next nickname. This is his last nickname.
All right.
Tupac. When I did this earlier, I was super confused to why it was Tupac. Do not think too much into it. These nicknames make no sense.
Is it John Morant?
It is not.
Who is it?
Do you want one more guess or you want...
I want one more guess.
One more guess.
Chris
Let's
Paul.
hear. It is not Chris Paul.
Who is it?
This is John Wall, a.k.a. Optimus Dime.
What? Why is he Tupac?
I have no clue.
Is he because he wore number 2?
I guess so.
Tupac?
On to the next one. This is one of my favorites. Plays in the league now still. We're talking about the 3-regional manager.
Oh my God, Mike Scott.
It is Mike Scott. Good job.
I just got that. That's so funny.
That is a great nickname that I did not know existed until today.
Damn, the 3-regional manager.
3-regional manager.
That's
Good one,
pretty
right?
nice.
All right. Next up, we have Black Falcon.
Black Falcon.
This is his only nickname.
Is he still relevant?
He is still relevant.
I didn't think I'd ever see a relevant Black Hawk in the
Black Falcon.
Black Falcon. I'm gonna say. Man, there's so many. It's just like
It's like randomly picking a player.
a Black Falcon. A Black Falcon, actually. Dang. What position?
Want me to give you some hints?
Yeah.
He's a small forward, power forward, on the rumor mill right now.
Is it Aaron Gordon?
It is not Aaron Gordon.
Is it John? No, he's not even a. Dang! I'm just gonna. You know what? I'm gonna take the easy way out and just say it's like Oladipo.
It is Harrison Barnes.
Dang! Oh, that's pain. That's painful.
On to the next one.
Why would he be named the Black Falcon?
No clue.
That
That's
doesn't really look like he'd have a nickname.
great part about this game.
Yeah.
There is no reason. I'm sure there is a reason, but I cannot find them. Next up, I'm going to start with the ones that are easy, or harder, then go into the easy ones.
All right.
This guy's ankle taker.
Ankle taker. Kyrie?
It is Kyrie. Do you
Damn,
want to
that's
hear
easy.
the rest of his nicknames?
Uncle Drew.
Uncle Drew, ankle taker, World B Flat, and Kai.
I like World B Flat.
World B Flat is a great nickname. Thought I'd throw that one in there. All right,
That would have been too easy to guess, though.
on to the next one. Another current player. This guy's nickname, Young Hollywood.
Young Hollywood. Is it like LaMelo or something?
It is not. I'm going to give you his other nickname right now. Other nickname is Flight 8.
Flight 8. Zach LaVine?
It is Zach LaVine. Good job.
He's got those Hollywood dunks.
He does.
Except he's in Chicago, but...
All right, these next two players aren't in the league anymore. They played in the league last season, but I just really like their nicknames.
Okay. Vince Carter, is he one?
He is not.
Damn.
This nickname, Threesis.
Threesis. Is that J.R. Smith?
It is not. I'm going to give you his last nickname right now. Machine Gun.
Why do I remember that? Is that like, what is it? C.J. Miles or something?
It is not. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It is Kyle Korver.
Oh, I knew that.
Threesis And Machine Gun.
I
Kyle
should have
Korver.
known Machine Gun, white guy. Damn.
Oh, my God. All right. On to the last guy. This is another guy who played in the league last season, but didn't play this season. We're going to start off with some of the harder ones.
All right.
Starting off with his first nickname, Kobe Wade.
Oh. What the heck? Kobe Wade.
Kobe Wade.
I have no idea. Kobe Wade? He's got to be a shooting guard.
Want me to give you
Jamal Crawford.
It is not Jamal Crawford. I will give you the next nickname right now. Google me.
It sounds like something OJ Mayo would make.
It is not OJ Mayo.
All right, who is it?
OJ Mayo I did look up earlier.
Yeah.
His nickname on Basketball Reference, Grocery List.
That would have been a good one.
It would have. All right. So I'm going to give you his next nickname.
All right.
Headache.
Damn.
Just Headache.
It's really unfortunate. What division did he play in?
He played for are you talking last season?
Last season.
He played in the Western Conference.
Western Conference. Let me think. All right, we need to have a shot clock here or something.
All right. So, once I give you these next nicknames, you're going to get it.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Philly Cheese.
Philly cheese. Oh, man. Oh, come on, Gabe. One more.
Bubble Cheese.
Bubble cheese. Oh, Dion Waiters.
This is Dion Waiters, also known as Downhill Dion.
Damn.
But my
I can see him
favorite-
being Kobe Wade.
My favorite nickname out of all of this is Headache.
Yeah, man.
Like, imagine walking on the floor and be like, there's Headache.
From all those edibles.
And Google me. Classic
Google me.
nickname.
That would be him. Man,
So-
that should have been easy.
This is a fun game. Again, I expect no one to get these right.
Yeah.
They make no sense. But thought that was fun.
That was fun.
All right. Now on to...
Gabe's Fantasy Corner.
Corner.
That's
corner,
right.
Corner.
That's right. All right. So, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter segment today as well. There's only been a couple games played so far. But I'm going to start off with some good old fantasy pickups. The first being a name we already went over earlier today, and his name is Kevin Porter Jr. Chase was fortunate enough to pick him up on his fantasy team before I could.
Yeah, very fortunate.
Yeah. Won't accept any trades. Heartbroken. Anyways, I'll read his stats. This guy is plus 50% owned over the last week. So if he's available in your league somehow, please get him. For me, just do it.
If he's available in your league and you don't have him, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Just go get him.
So over the last two games, now it's a small sample size, but the promise is obvious. He's averaging 20 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, and 1.5 blocks, and may single-handedly save Chase's fantasy team. Now, this guy, I think if Oladipo gets traded, he could be an easy middle-round guy for the rest of the year. Now, that's dependent on Oladipo being traded, I think, and I think he will get traded. If he doesn't, I still think he's going to have a good year. It's just not going to be a mid-round value type of year.
I think Oladipo does get traded or released.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also good to mention that John Wall has been injured almost the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
He plays about every other game. So he's going to put up good numbers.
Yeah. I like Kevin Porter Jr. All right. Next guy on my list is one Hamidou Diallo, who was recently traded to the Detroit Pistons for Svi Mikhailuk and a second, which is a big asking price.
It's an interesting trade.
It's a random trade.
It's I guess with the emergence of Lou Dort and Theo Maledon, and I butchered that name, I know, and Ty Jerome, Hamidou became expendable.
Now, I kind of like his fantasy profile. He gets defensive stats. He's a scorer, gets some boards, gets some assists. Not very good from free throw, but he's going to have a lot of opportunity on this team. The guard depth is a little on the shaky side. On the season, he was shooting 48%. He's hurt right now, by the way. But On the season, he's been shooting 48%, 62% from the free throw line, averaging about 12 points with half a three, 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and a steal and a half a block.
Solid.
I think most of his defensive stats, if he does become a good pickup, will hinge on his defensive stats.
All right. And another thing I wanted to mention about the Pistons, they're looking like they're going to release a lot of players coming up. I don't think Wayne Ellington stays on the team. DeLon Wright might get traded at the deadline. You're looking at a lot of veteran guys that might go. Good thing to mention, Dennis Smith Jr., if you have him right now. Killian Hayes is coming back soon. I believe he's due back within a week or so.
Yeah. He won't be playing above 20 minutes for this
No.
season.
But it's good to mention that Dennis Smith Jr.'s minutes will probably go down. Killian Hayes will get a lot of good looks. But Hamidou will take on a big role for that team.
Yeah. All right, so the next guy I have is another ripple effect from a trade. Jakob Poeltl. We were already talking about him being a hot pickup. Now he's 54% owned. He's been owned in plus 6% of leagues this week. Because of the LaMarcus Aldridge trade, Jakob Poeltl is now the starting center for the Spurs. I really like his defensive upside. Over the last month, he was averaging a steal and 2 blocks with 9 boards and almost 2.5 assists, 8 points, and he was shooting 64% from the field. And an increased, if you will believe this, an increased percentage of 50% at the line.
Oh, my God.
So if you're taking free throws, I think Jakob Poeltl is definitely your guy. I think he's a guy who can average north of two blocks. Any thoughts on Jakob Poeltl?
I think Jakob Poeltl is solid. We went over him last week, a little bit of what he does. Now with Aldridge out, he's getting all the run.
Yeah.
I don't think they have another big that's going to soak up any of his minutes.
I do like him for this season. Next guy, final of the pickups, is going to be Jaden Mcdaniels. Now, Jaden's stat lines haven't been really that great yet, but he does get defensive stats. He has been getting defensive stats in his limited minutes. But this last game that he's played against the Pelicans, he went 8 of 9 from the field for 20 points, 4 threes, 4 boards, 2 steals, and 3 blocks, which is absolutely golden fantasy stat line. And he's averaging a block on the season already, which is amazing considering he's only averaging 5 points and 3 boards. Having that block in there as a small forward, power forward is pretty cool. And, yeah, he's just a young upside guy to look at, especially after the trade deadline if more names are moved because the Timberwolves suck.
Yeah. And he had a big game the other night. I believe 4 threes, 20 points, right? Solid game. Only thing I can say about Jaden is he's a little inconsistent. I've looked at him earlier in the season. But he could be getting run. Anyone on the Timberwolves could be getting run right now. I think that's what makes these lower-end teams valuable right now.
Yeah.
Especially for fantasy.
Okay, now I have 2 sell-high names to go over, and one of them is going to kind of piss you off. But the first one is Kemba Walker. Sell-high Kemba Walker. He's got a lot of name value, and over the last 2 weeks, he's averaging still not too much. He's averaging 18 points with 3.5 boards and 5.5 assists with under a steal and just under a block for some reason. I don't know. And then over the last month, he's averaging 21 points with around the same stat line, 93% from the line. I just think you can get an inflated return for him based off the fact that his name's Kemba Walker, and that he's starting to put up a little bit more of a respectable stat line. But yeah, I think you can get inflated value for him easy.
And that's what I tried to do. I packaged him in a deal with Wiggins, trying to sell high on both. I think it's a good option if you have Walker right now, to try to sell high on him.
Now, my last sell high name, which is probably going to piss you off just a little bit,
oh man,
is Kevin Porter Jr. It is, but I don't want people to get this misconstrued or anything. It's not because he's not going to put up good numbers. People are going to be going crazy off these past 2 games that he's had and the whole narrative that he has surrounding him. He's an enigma right now, and people love that. And I think people could get, inflated return. I'm saying that a lot today. But people could get inflated returns for him. Now, I'm not saying to trade him because he's still a very young guy on a rebuilding team with tons of upside. But if you could get like a top 50 guy or a top 40 guy who maybe is playing poorly, and maybe Kevin Porter's an add-in, like a sweetener, I would take that 100% of the time. And I feel like it's doable.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The numbers he's putting up right now could be sustainable, but we don't know. He's played 2 games this season.
Averaging a block and a half.
Yeah. Like, it's 2 games. We don't have very much sample size.
Yeah.
And it was something I wanted to hit on. I don't know if you were going to hit on this later, but the G League bubble just ended.
I wasn't going to hit on that, so you can feel free to just spiel on it.
Okay. So the G League bubble just ended. Therefore, all these teams that sent players to the bubble, these players are now coming up.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of guys that put in good minutes now. And most of the guys I picked out were from Thunder and Rockets. Those two teams are trash right now, to say the least. But these guys are getting a lot of run and coming in with confidence now.
Yeah.
And I can see how much their game has changed. So I'm just going to list off a couple guys. Tell me what you think. Okay. Jerome just came out of the G League bubble. Playing solid. I watched him today against the Knicks. Great player. Can really shoot.
Yeah?
Yeah. Great. Next, Alexei Pokusevski.
Yeah.
He is high risk. Sometimes he looks like he could be a great player in the NBA.
His last 2 games are a perfect example of
yeah.
that. Great
and
one,
then
shit one.
the next play you'll see like, oh, what was that? Like he'll just like fall out of bounds or something like that. Or throw a weird rainbow pass all the way across the court. And you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's some cool stuff right there.
That is. So Pokusevski is someone to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
Next guy I got on my list. This is going to be my big one. Moses Brown. Now, I don't know if you followed him at UCLA or in the G League bubble. But in the G League bubble, he was putting up good numbers.
Yeah, he's got
Solid player. Now, one thing to mention. Al Horford sits out all back-to-backs. So Al Horford played today. They're going to play tomorrow. Moses Brown is most likely going to start at center.
Most of these guys are all OKC guys, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Most of these guys are OKC and Rockets guys I'm going to get to. But Moses Brown could find himself in a starting role for a good portion of the games this season. Now, the other night, not today, I believe it was the other night, he got 12 boards and 2 blocks. Solid numbers. Today, I think he had like 10 points, 9 rebounds, a block. I almost guarantee you tomorrow, he'll give you 12 boards and 2 blocks. He will be soaking up so many minutes at center, especially when they're light in that area. You're looking at the other options for OKC centers. It's like Kenrich Williams, who's more of an ISO player. I like him at the 3 or 4. You got Darius Bazley, who's coming off an injury. There's not many options for center, especially when Al Horford sits. So I think Moses Brown is going to be big.
Poku.
All right, next person I'm going to hit on. Justin Patton. I know I talked about him a little bit earlier in the podcast, but he's putting up good numbers while Christian Wood is out. When Christian Wood comes back, will those numbers change? Yes.
I feel like he's going to probably not barely play.
Yeah. But as of right now, he's making good numbers. Kevin Porter somehow finds him every possession. Good numbers, can hit a 3, too. Solid player. And his defensive stats are really good.
Yeah,
don't know him off the top of my head, but I think he's been getting like multiple steals and blocks a game.
Yeah, he's a guy you could definitely use as maybe a streamer for Sunday, as we know that Christian Wood's going to be out until Tuesday. So he would be a good streamer for sure for fantasy.
Yeah. Next guy on my list is KJ Martin, Kenyon Martin Jr.
Yes.
He's solid. The 2 games we've seen from him played really well. Played really well in the bubble. I think my big thing about talking about all these guys from the bubble, there's only so many moments in the season where players will come and you get a chance to pick them up for nothing, right? It's usually the beginning of the season where you test to find out who's going to be good. You see guys like Terry Rozier come out of nowhere, guys like Jordan Clarkson come out of nowhere. Jeremy Grant, you know? Like, these are the guys that pop off at the beginning of the season and you see that. There's usually something towards the end of the season, right after the trade deadline. When
yes, that's my favorite time of the year.
Right around playoff time.
That's my favorite time of the year.
Where random players get shot into lineups. This is new this year because there wasn't a G League bubble before. This is your moment to strike.
Yeah.
And you've got all these guys that have spent the past month and a half in the bubble. And now they're getting NBA minutes.
Yeah.
And for these teams that are watered down due to injury or a trade or even just trying to rebuild, all these guys are good options.
I think the next best guy, if Kevin Porter's not available for your team, would be KJ Martin for sure. KJ Martin's stats have been very nice for the Rockets the last 2 games, so he's someone to definitely look at and maybe take a flyer on.
Yeah, and that's about all I wanted to hit on in the G League bubble, guys. Another good note to add is all the players in the G League are no longer in the G League. Season's over. Lakeland Magic won.
I do have one more fantasy name to go over.
Okay, you could go ahead and do that.
Oh, okay. Well, this is another center, another what I would consider to be a hub for defensive stats. He's a center. He plays for the Boston Celtics, and his name is Robert Williams Jr.
I love Robert Williams. Loved him since he came out of Texas.
The Time Lord. Now, this guy, over the last month, is averaging 2.3 blocks with 2 assists, 6 rebounds, 8 points, shooting 68% from the field. And basically, it's a waiting game. Brad Stevens said earlier this month that later in the season, Robert Williams is going to be putting up probably 30-plus minutes a game, which I don't know what they're really waiting for. He's clearly better than Tristan Thompson. And, I mean, he's young. It's not like you have to sit him.
All right, so here's what I've seen from watching the games recently. I spent a lot of time watching games just all together. I watched the Celtics game the other night. Robert Williams' IQ is not all the way there yet. He's still young. I believe he's 22, 23.
Yeah.
Still really, really young. His IQ isn't all the way there, which is why Brad Stevens just looks at him and takes him out. But solid players gives you that rim defending that you need. And for a Celtics team that's looking for centers, I think he's the best option, not even picking one up.
Yeah, who would you rather have playing in the game? Robert Williams with his defensive presence or Tristan Thompson?
I'd rather have Robert Williams.
Yeah, me too. So I think it's going to be a matter of time before he starts getting heavier minutes, and once the coach realizes he is the best option at center, I think he's going to have a lot of good fantasy production.
Yeah.
Good guy to look at, have on your watch list.
Yep.
And yeah, that's it for me. That's all I got.
All right. I think that wraps everything up.
All right.
You got anything else to add?
Just show us some love on our Instagram page, which I will start posting on.
All right. Our Instagram page will get together. It's dimes.unlimited.
Dimes.unlimited at Instagram.
At Instagram. Eventually, I know we say this every week. We're going to eventually start a TikTok. We're getting around to it.
We're very busy men.
Very, very busy.
So
Gabe's over here flipping burgers a couple times a week now.
All the time. I haven't done it yet, though.
We're going to get around to that stuff. Anyway, show us love on YouTube. I think we're going to post this in 3 separate parts. We're going to post the full podcast. We're going to post the fantasy corner. And then we're going to post the basketball reference segment.
Mm-hmm.
These will all be up. Main podcast will be up today. Probably what you're listening to. Other 2 will be up later in the week.
And shout out to Spencer. Give me that Lonzo trade.
Shout out to Spencer and Yuli. I know you guys don't listen to the podcast, but hey.
Give me that Lonzo trade.
All right, and that should be it. This is Chase and Gabe signing out.
I love you too, Jacob. All right, I'll see you guys.
See ya.